And let's finish everything up, Mark, going into our playoff predictions. You guys on the other segments, if you're just on YouTube, make sure to check out our AFC. Make sure to check out our NFC predictions. For you guys who have been listening to the whole podcast, you guys have been kind of putting it together. However, the one thing you guys haven't been able to know for sure is who wins these tiebreakers that there may have. And I know that I have one tiebreaker. I know you have a couple tiebreakers as well. Before, though, we get into our playoff prediction, we are adding something for this year, a little fun thing for the teams who are not very good. And we are going to give our top 10 picks in the NFL draft. I'll let you decide. Do you want to go bottom to top, 10 to 1, or 1 to 10?
Let's make it fun. Let's go from 10 to 1.
So start it off your top 10 for this year's NFL draft based off of the records that you gave every single team.
Part of this is going to feel familiar, but then you're going to realize what happened and be really happy about it. At number 10 overall, the Cleveland Browns.
So close. So close to getting out.
They get to be named first, which is great. They're used to it, but it's a good thing in this case. At number 9, the Denver Broncos. At number 10, the Indianapolis Colts. At number 7, the New York Football Giants. You notice that a lot of these teams feel familiar.
Last year's top 5.
Exactly. At number 6, the Kansas City Chiefs. At number 5, the Oakland Raiders. At number 4, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 3, the Miami Dolphins. 2, the Buffalo Bills. And number 1, the New York also football Jets.
Mine's going to seem familiar to some. Let me see. About 1, 2, I want to say 3, 4 or 5 of these teams might have been in the top 10 last year, but starting off at number 10, the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes did not do enough to get them out of the top 10. Then you have the Miami Dolphins at number 9. Da Bears, around right where they were last year. I think they were 7, but they had a tiebreaker with the Niners, which put them at 7 with the coin flip. They're at 8 this year. The Raiders are at 7. The Arizona Cardinals are at 6. That's 1 rookie quarterback. 2 rookie quarterbacks. The Bills are at 5. 3 rookie quarterbacks. The Jets are at 4. Technically 3 rookie quarterbacks, but I don't think Baker Mayfield played this whole year. Might not even played any game. Browns are at 3.
If they're that high up, I think he probably played.
Then the Bengals at 2. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, your number 1 pick in the NFL draft this year.
I really like having number 1, AFC East, number 2, AFC East, number 3, AFC East. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, yours had
for me
3 right in a row from the
Jets,
AFC
Bills,
East.
Dolphins.
Where I had 2 from that AFC North right there at 2 and 3. But now we get into the good stuff. Mark, I am going to let you go first. We'll do the AFC, then we'll do the NFC.
Sure.
Then we'll go through our playoffs. I'll let you start for the AFC. Give us your 1 through 6, your playoff teams for the AFC.
All right, so the top team and I'm doing this, we've done bottomed up the whole time.
Do
now
top, bottom.
Top, bottom.
Yeah.
Number 1 overall, number 1 seed, whatever. The New England Patriots. Number 2 is the Baltimore Ravens. I had to scroll up for a second.
What you can do is I'm going to help you. Do you see the part where it says DIV? On the right-hand side above your right under season?
I don't. I'm not worried about it.
Okay, because you can click it and put it into conference.
I'm all right with this. Number 3 is the LA Chargers. Number 4, the Jaguars of Jacksonville. Number 5, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And finally, number 6, the Tennessee Titans.
My FC, a little bit similar, but the teams are mixed up a bit. The 2 teams that have the bye, 1 and 2, the Jaguars at number 1, the Patriots at number 2. Both of those are at 12 and 4. Then at number 3, the Pittsburgh Steelers win the North. They go 12 and 4. They're the 3 seed. The number 4 seed, the Denver Broncos. They are at 10 and 6 this year. Number 5, the LA Chargers or San Diego Chargers. I don't remember if I called them San Diego earlier. I probably did because it just seems more natural to me. But the Los Angeles Chargers at 9 and 7. They're the 5th seed. And then the 6th seed, Indianapolis Colts, just making the playoffs over 8 and 8 Texans and 8 and 8 Ravens to make the playoffs. And then going right into the NFC, I'll start this one. Number 1, the Minnesota Vikings. They're at 12 and 4. The other team getting a first round bye, the Atlanta Falcons. They're also at 12 and 4. Then number 3 from the NFC West, we have the 11 and 5 Los Angeles Rams. Then at number 4, the NFC East crown, the Philadelphia Eagles, defending Super Bowl champions. They're at 10-6. Then the 2 wildcard teams at number 5, the Green Bay Packers, who have a better record than the Eagles, but are a wildcard team at 11-5. And then the San Francisco 49ers, 10-6, getting that last spot. And I will say, for you Saint fans out there who are like Ricky, but we were 10-6 also, just ask the Lions how it felt to be 10-6 last year and miss the playoffs.
I think 2 years ago. They haven't been 10-6 in a while.
No, I thought it was last year.
I don't think so.
I'll double check while you give yours.
Just in case anyone yells at you. Number 1 overall, the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl defending champions. Number 2, the New Orleans Saints. Number 3, the LA Rams. So both LA teams making it into the playoffs. Number 4, the Minnesota Vikings. Number 5, Green Bay Packers. If you know how the seeding works, that's going to be fun. And then number 6 is the Dallas Cowboys.
You're right. They were 9-7 last year. They were 9-7. 2016, they were also 9-7. So okay, they were 9-7. I thought they were 10-6.
Let's not give Detroit fans too much to be happy about.
But like that's the thing that I could see this year in the NFC is yes, in my how everything fell out. I'm sorry, Saint fans, it ended up being you, but it could easily be the Packers if they're 10-6, the 49ers if they're 10-6. One team to me in the NFC is going to be the 7th seed and just miss out on the playoffs, even though they're a 10-6 team. But now here comes the fun part, Mark. I will let you go first. How we do this is we go through our entire playoffs up until the Super Bowl. And then, so you'll give your picks up until your Super Bowl matchup. I will then give mine up to my Super Bowl matchup. And then we will make our Super Bowl picks. I will let you start.
Quick thing, do you want to do it by round or by conference?
You pick.
All right, I'm going to do it by round.
Okay.
Just because that's the way I'm looking at it.
Works for me.
All right, so in the AFC, the first game is the Jaguars hosting the Steelers. That'll be a fun little one again.
Fun little rematch.
And things are going to feel pretty similar as the Jacksonville Jaguars get to win. So Jacksonville wins that one. Home team, the LA Chargers, hosting the Tennessee Titans. And I actually am going to have the Tennessee Titans sneak that one out from
another
my
shock
fan.
win like they had last year.
Yeah, and it's not going to be as shocking because they will be a better team. But
how many touchdowns does Marcus Mariota throw to himself in that game?
Probably 5.
Okay. So 5 just to himself.
Unto himself, all the touchdowns for the Titans. Then in the NFC side, the Vikings get to host the Green Bay Packers, and I think home field's going to be a big deal for that one. Going to give that one to the Purple People Eater Vikings. I get to say that because I'm wearing purple. And then we have home team LA Rams hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Once again, makes a difference, and I think the Dallas Cowboys, even though they're a better team, even though they better than they were last year, even though they've gotten to the playoffs, I still think the Rams are just a step ahead. So that's going to make a difference for them. Let's move into the division. So the Baltimore Ravens are hosting the Jaguars, but it doesn't matter. Jaguars are going to win it. And then the New England Patriots are going to host the Titans. And that time it does matter because the Patriots win. Of course, they're just a better team. NFC side, we have, these are both matchups I absolutely love. The New Orleans Saints hosting the LA Rams. And despite all the things that the Rams did, I'm picking the Saints. Then we got the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Vikings. This is nice. It's reminding us of last year again. It's not going to be a blowout like it was last year, but I still think that the Eagles are going to win that one. Then we have my conference championship. Do you want me to pause here or
No,
just
keep
do
going.
it?
You'll go until the Super Bowl.
Because it's about to reveal my Super Bowl, but not my winner just yet.
Don't reveal the winner. Reveal who's in it.
Yeah, they'll get it from this part. The Patriots and the Jaguars, again, and the Patriots, again, are going to win it. Then we shift over to what potentially could have been what we saw last year.
Should have happened? Are you going to be
I
those
said
guys?
potentially, could have. I said could instead of should.
I know. I'm just asking, are you a should have guy?
And then if it did happen last year, I predicted that this would have been the team to go on to the Super Bowl. But the Philadelphia Eagles are going to host the Saints, and the Saints say we're winning it because we should have done it last year. now here we are.
I got a fun fact, but I will leave it until after mine is done. So now revealing my playoff bracket, we'll go through the same thing. In the wild card round, first off, the Indianapolis Colts will go on the road to Pittsburgh. Andrew Luck got them to the playoffs, but the Killer Bees are too much. The Steelers move on to the next round. Then we have a rematch. This is the second one like this, too, and they're both from the West. Chargers-Broncos played in Denver week 17. They're going to do it all over again in week, what would this be, 18 technically. Broncos get the win at home over the Chargers. They move on. So the Steelers will play the Patriots. Broncos will then go to Duval County and play the Jaguars. In the NFC wildcard round, the other matchup that's like this, the Rams and Niners both played in LA in week 17. They get to do it all over again in week 18, and the Rams get the win. They move on. They will play the Atlanta Falcons. That's because I have an upset in my other game. The 5th-seeded Packers go into Philadelphia and get the win. The only road team in the wild card round to get a win. The Packers then move on. So in the AFC, Patriots, Steelers, Jaguars, Broncos, you know how it goes for the Patriots and the Steelers. Bill Belichick is a better coach than Mike Tomlin. Tom Brady is a way better quarterback than Big Ben Roethlisberger. The Patriots move on. Doesn't matter if the Patriots are the 2 seed. The Patriots move on. Steelers don't know how to beat Tom Brady and the Patriots and Bill Belichick in the playoffs. Then the Broncos and the Jaguars. This is one that's going to be difficult for the Broncos. They lose. It'll be a big blowout win for the Jaguars. They will go on and play the Patriots, a rematch of last year, 1 and 2. Then in the NFC, you've got the Rams going back up against the Falcons. I believe this is another rematch of last year. Falcons get the win in Georgia, in Hotlanta. And then we have a rematch, third time this season. The Packers will play the Vikings, much like you had it in yours. Home field is going to be a huge advantage for the Vikings. They move on and play the Falcons in the NFC Championship game. We've got our 2 set. Patriots, Jaguars first. I think what will flip this one from last year is it's not in Foxborough, it's in Duval County. Jacksonville gets the win. They are going on to the Super Bowl. And then we've got a matchup in Minnesota. Home field advantage is going to play a huge part of this one yet again, much like going to Philadelphia played a huge part of last year's loss. The Vikings get the win over the Falcons in Minnesota. Number 1 seeded Jacksonville Jaguars against number 1 seeded Minnesota Vikings for the Super Bowl. And before we give our Super Bowl picks, I have a little bit of history for you. Dating back to the 2013 playoffs, there have been 3 teams that have made the Super Bowl that were not the number 1 seeded team. Those teams were in 2017, the number 2 seeded Falcons made it to the Super Bowl. They lost to the New England Patriots. And the number 2 seeded 49ers in 2013 lost to the number 4 seeded Baltimore Ravens. So a little bit of history that usually the number 1, that also played into mine too.
Years, yeah.
Where in recent years, usually the top 2 teams make it. That, I will be honest, played into mine, especially in the NFC side. But also, I found this funny too, because when I was looking at it, what made me think about it again is that you have the Saints in your Super Bowl, and they are a number 2 team in the last
playing
team,
the number 1 seed.
And the last time it happened, like you had it, the number 2 from the NFC South playing the number 1 Patriots.
Yeah.
The Patriots beat the Falcons. But
in historic fashion.
But we will start with yours. Patriots and Saints is your Super Bowl. Take us through what you think of this game and then who wins the Super Bowl.
Well, it'd be a great matchup. I mean, you got 2 old veteran quarterbacks who are really kind of towards the end of their career. Either one of them. I mean, retirement is going to be all they talk about for these 2 guys. But really it comes down to me of the run game is better for the Saints. The wide receivers are going to be better probably for the Patriots. The defense, I don't really know what the defense on the Patriots is going to be because Patricia's gone, but it's not as good as the Saints defense is.
Well, and they lost some guys on that defense too.
And I can just see this one being back and forth, one of the most exciting type of Super Bowls that we've seen in a while with Drew Brees and Tom Brady going back to back, and eventually it's going to be close. But in these Patriots games, it usually tends to be Tom Brady has that last chance to win the game. But I think this is going to be where Drew Brees kind of cements the legacy and says, no, my team's down at the end. I'm going to be the one to come back and win this game, and I think he'll do it.
So you have the Saints winning the Super Bowl. For me, mine's a different kind of prediction, where for you, you're just picking a Super Bowl champion. For me, I'm picking which team is going to get decimated by injuries and be a top 5 pick this year.
You can pause it right now. You can stop watching right now, and you know exactly what Ricky's going to say.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, to kind of build this one up a little bit, if you're new and you're like, Ricky, what are you talking about? My Super Bowl pick, we have dubbed the kiss of death, no matter what year it is. Whether, like, if you go back the past 3 years before this, 3 years ago, I can't remember who I had win, but for that year, both of it, I had the Colts versus
the Bears.
No, it wasn't the Bears, the Cowboys. Both of those teams were horrible that year, because that was the year that they just were like a 4-win team.
You had a Colts-Bears one, too.
That was before. That was like the year before. Because I had Ravens-Bears that year.
There you go.
Because Saints lost to the Bears in that NFC title game. You can even count that one, I believe, too. But Colts, Cowboys, one of those two got the kiss of death. I would have to go back and double check. Then the next year, I had the Cardinals beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Patriots won the Super Bowl. Cardinals were decimated from injuries, and they just didn't do anything. They were a terrible team. Then last year, I had the Giants beat the Patriots. Patriots go back to the Super Bowl. Giants are decimated with injuries. They were the number 2 pick in this year's NFL draft. So for this year, it brings me, like you said, you can stop the video. I'm going to ask you, can you give me a little bit of a drum roll?
I hope this sounds decent.
Your kiss of death for this year, none other, the Super Bowl champion, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are going to win the Super Bowl.
Because obviously you weren't going to kiss of death
the Minnesota Vikings and the Jaguars. I am sorry, Jacksonville fans. We will see if this is the challenge for now, Jacksonville. I have just put the pressure on Blake Bortles to not just be better than he was last year, but can the Jaguars be the first team to beat the kiss of death? That's what I want to ask you. Do you think they're going to be the first team to beat the Ricky Widmer kiss of death?
Well,
because eventually I want it to end.
Well, eventually it's going to end. I mean, that's what happens with streaks. They end. I originally actually had my very first draft of this. The Jaguars just missed out on the playoffs.
Yeah,
and I think I mentioned that with the Texans, switching with them or whatnot. But so it's possible, but it wouldn't be as a decimation. Like I can't see a decimation of this team. I can only see them just kind of barely missing out. I do think they'll beat it, and part of the reason now is I think we've hit that point where we're too aware. Not that we weren't aware of the kiss of death before, but we're very aware of it. People watching are very aware of it.
Hell yeah.
So I think we've gotten to a point where we are just too aware to where it's done at this point, and I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to beat it.
I remember when I made it last year, and Giant fans in the comment section were like, no, what are you doing to me?
And we saw what you did. Well, what you did was you gave them Saquon Barkley.
As soon as that happened, like that next week, Odell injury. And I was like, oh, no, this is not happening again. And it happened again. And I mean, I gave you... I shouldn't have picked them because then they wouldn't have gotten Pat Shurmur, and we would have still had Pat Shurmur. But how my Super Bowl pick kind of evolved over time is originally, like when we started doing the previews, I had the idea that the kiss of death was either going to go to the Jaguars or the Rams. Like those were the two teams. I'm like, those are going to be the ones that are going to be my Super Bowl champion, and probably my Super Bowl. But then as I got to think about it, I'm like, you know what? That NFC started to evolve a little bit. I got a little bit higher on the Falcons. They kind of moved into that Super Bowl spot. And then I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? I don't like, part of me was like, I don't want to be that homer that just goes, oh, Vikings is a Super Bowl. Because people look at it and go, Ricky, you're a Viking fan. Of course you want them to go to the Super Bowl. But then the more I looked at it, the only thing that will hurt the Vikings is if they don't have home field advantage in that NFC spot, because like I said, most of the time in recent history, the number one teams move on. That means if you have home field advantage, and I know this is going to be like, thanks, John Madden, boom, but most of the time you have home field advantage in that championship game, you are going to the Super Bowl. So that's why that's going to be super important to the Vikings and one of the main reasons why I had them beat the Falcons.
Now watch what's going to happen this year. The kiss of death has just changed now, and it's just going to be the team you decide loses the Super Bowl, all of a sudden is going to get the kiss of death.
Well, it's weird because it's either, like I said, 3 years ago, both teams were bad.
Yeah.
Or, and maybe it's just...
But then you started picking the Patriots.
Or maybe it's just a Patriot thing, but like the team that I picked to lose would make the play, or would make the Super Bowl. At first, I'm like, oh, they'll win it, but then they lost it last year.
But to be fair, it's the
oh.
Patriots.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. There's that into it. So it's like maybe it's just the Patriots. Maybe I should have kissed a death them, and it would have been over a long time ago.
Sean would have never let you
no, he would have never.
day.
He would have never let me.
He would have heard about it and said, nope, you are not making that podcast.
Oh, man. Any final thoughts on our playoffs or any of these predictions?
I made a mistake, actually. It's the Bears that won the Super Bowl. 16-0.
The Bears won, not the Saints. The Bears won the Super Bowl.
16-0, Bears won the Super Bowl. Mitch gets entered into the Hall of Fame early. They say, you know what? It's yours.
And he's still...
the first player to play and be in the Hall of Fame at the same time.
And he's still looked at as a better Hall of Famer than T.O. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below about all of our predictions, divisional, about our AFC, NFC, about our playoffs. What do you guys think? The big question for this podcast, can the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the kiss of death? I've officially given it. It's not official until I give that smooch sound. Sure. Once I give the smooch, it's official. So Blake Bortles and company, they are going to have a huge task ahead of them to be the first to beat the kiss of death. Let me know. Let me and Mark know down below if you think they can do it. Want to thank you guys for checking out the podcast this week. Housekeeping here at the end. If you want to help support us, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. You can also support us by buying an MVP t-shirt. That store link is also down in the description. You can also get it at mostvaluablepodcast.com, where you can also catch everything for MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, make sure to go to iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Even if you're on YouTube, make sure to go over there, give the podcast a 5-star rating, and let us know why you like listening to the podcast each and every week. I want to thank you guys for watching on YouTube. I want to thank you guys for watching on podcast services around the world. And as always, have a good day, everybody.